Incredibly humbled by that. Thank you very much. For those who don't know me, my name is Craig Backman. I'm just a regular guy, and I've been in business for a while, and then at 43 I joined the police force because that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. I wanted to do that because I saw the police force as being, there's a saying that it's the thin blue line, which is it's a layer of protection that's supposed to provide protection for the community, for the good, hard-working citizens of the community against those who seek to do them harm. And unfortunately, there is a lot of people who seek to do others harm. And I saw that that would be a noble way to try to live out my career until I could retire. I saw, as what many of you would have seen, that the narrative that was coming out of the government regarding this virus and these vaccines, is that better? Was absolutely bogus, to the point where they were saying that unless you did what they were told, you were somehow a threat to others. And I wrote an email to my bosses saying, well, that's basically like saying that I need this gentleman here to put on some sunscreen so I don't get a sunburned head, right? And for the top cop in the state to be pushing that narrative and sacking people who'd been given 30 years in some instances service to the community, to sack them over that, I find criminal. And I find that that's much too close of a tie between the police force and the government. And so I resigned. And I would call on Shane Patton now, based on the fact that everybody knows now that you cannot be more of a threat than anybody else. Anyone who's got this jab, they're a threat to anybody just like anybody else. He needs to reinstate the people that he sacked, and then he needs to resign himself, the criminal. That's what he needs to do. One of the things I've been trying to do is to demystify and de-idolise some of these people. They wear a shiny little patch on their shoulder, or they go on TV and they give a press conference, or they're the love child of Klaus Schwab, like David Koch that you mentioned before. These people, they're just people. Many of them are public servants. They're there to serve us, and they've forgotten that. Or maybe they didn't forgotten that. Maybe they never were there to do that in the first place, which is probably more accurate. But we need to make sure that they remember who has the power in a democracy. Who does have the power in a democracy? Who has the power? The people, right? The people. The government's role, its only role in a democracy, is to uphold the human rights of its citizens, to provide equal opportunity for every person, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, political affiliations. It doesn't matter what, right? At the moment, they're trying to tell you what you will and will not do in your life. And that's wrong, right? Daniel Andrews said that you'd be locked out of society, out of the community and out of the healthcare system based on your high-risk decision. A high-risk decision to not take a jab and to participate in a medical experiment. I mean, the mind boggles, right? I'll give you an example of a high-risk decision, right? You go and see your doctor. You say, doctor says, I want you to take this jab. And you say, well, is it an approved vaccine? He says, nah. So what's going to happen to me if I take it? I don't know. Is there anyone I can talk to who can tell me? Nah. What's in it? I don't know. I've got no idea. Have you got a leaflet you can show me that's got the ingredients in it? Nah.
It's only half a mil.
Well, why do I need to take it? Because this virus, is it going to kill me? Well, there's 99.9% chance you'll be fine if you get the virus. Well, so if something happens to me with this thing, like, has it hurt anyone? This jab, has it hurt anyone? Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's killed thousands of people around the world. Permanently injured many more, millions. Okay. If something happens to me, my family will be able to sue someone, right? Hold someone accountable for giving me this stuff that could hurt me, right? Nah. Can't do that either. Yeah, all right, stick it in, mate, stick it in. Is that not the most high-risk decision you've ever seen in your life? I swear, we are in upside-down clown world. And I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody to fix this except you guys, right? You guys are the ones who are going to fix this, right? We've all been talking in echo chambers at the moment. We talk to people who are of like-minded. And like Craig said, it's been fantastic. The silver lining in all this is that people are starting to show their true colours, and you find out who your true friends really are. Right? But that silver lining, it also needs to have an end, right? We need to bring this to an end. We can talk elections until we're blue in the face, but we need to do something about it before we get to that point. Right? The more they try to force you into fear, to bash you into submission, right, the more damage is being done and the more kids are being harmed. Right? So we need to take action now. And the way we do that is local action. Like, I don't know if you've been following some of the things on social media that's been happening with local councils in Queensland, where the business communities and the people are getting together and they're demanding that their council does not support government mandates, right? And they put pressure, right? And it's that pressure, that collective pressure, that actually makes something happen. Pissing and moaning about it doesn't make anything change, right? It helps you find your true friends, which is great. But once you've found those true friends, you need to start doing the legwork, right? You need to start going door to door to businesses. I saw many of you put your hand up before to say you'd started a business from scratch. Who's still in business? Hanging on by a thread, right? Yep. On what is clearly a global agenda to destroy the middle class, right? Yep. Right? That's what it clearly is. Paying people with the money that we don't have to sit at home on their ass, right? And become so accustomed to be living off the government teat that when this whole great reset comes in, they'll welcome it with open arms, right? Yep. Am I right? Yep. Do you want the great reset? No. Well, if you don't want the great reset, it's time to start actually going out there and making sure it doesn't happen. Yeah. Right? We can say we don't want it until the cows come home. What we need to do now is start going to those businesses and trying to focus on the things that we can all agree on. Some people don't want to hear the bigger picture, right? It's too big for them. They don't want to hear about the pedophiles that have been running the country. Yeah, true, it's very true, but it's too big for many people to understand and comprehend.
Save the kids.
So what we need to do is find things that we can all universally agree on. No segregation, no discrimination, right? Yeah. These things are abhorrent and not what Australians stand for. We can all agree on that. So we take those types of issues and we take them to local businesses and get them to agree that they won't enforce these things. Then get the local councils involved and then we can start to see real change. Right? Because if there's no enforcement of these things, the whole thing falls over. And that's what we want to see. We want to see it stop. We want to see it end. We don't want to be complaining about it forever and ever and ever and hoping that some election is going to save us. No one's going to save us except ourselves. Right? That's something we need to wrap our heads around. We didn't choose this fight. None of us did. But have you ever backed away from a fight in your life? That doesn't convince me at all. Have you ever backed away from a fight in your life? This is the most important fight of our generation. Make no mistake about that. And it's here and it's at your door. It's at your door and you can either lock the door, hide in your bedroom, sit under your bed and say, hopefully someone else is going to turn this around for me. But I can guarantee you if you do that, you'll lose. The fight is here and it's real. So it's up to you whether or not you want to actually take action and stop it. Because it's only action that'll stop it.
Disobey the traitors.
Disobey the traitors.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what these people are. They're traitors and they're cowards. And their future, right, is grass. You people are the lawnmower. Right? You're going to clean it up. Because it's only us that are going to save this. It's only us that are going to save ourselves. Right? Well, how many of you were there yesterday? Yes. And you're backing it up again today? Right? Good on you. 4 weeks ago, I made an impromptu kind of speech on the steps of Parliament. I'd come out, you know, my bosses weren't listening to me in terms of my internal protesting that I was doing at work. And so I came out and I wanted to make a speech and I wanted to confront my ex-colleagues. I don't know if any of you have seen that, basically where I told them that if they went down the course they were going, they were basically the private army of a madman.
They're here to hear you now.
They're taking photos of the license plates.
Your number plate.
No.
They are.
Have a look, mate.
They're taking photos of number plates.
Up there.
Yeah. Now, you will have had many interactions with the police over the last couple of years, yes?
Yep.
How many times did they ignore show directions for you? Always. Just about always, right? What does that tell you? It tells you that they know that it's bullshit. They know it's bullshit. That's why they ignore it. That's why every time you see the protests in Melbourne at the moment, there's all masked, they're wearing masks. It's all theatre, right? You see any masks on them? No. No. They know it's bullshit. But what? And they actually go around at protests and they thank the protesters. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. Keep it up, they say. Once again, upside down clown world. It's you that's supposed to be saving them. Not them saving you. I've never been more disappointed to be a part of an organisation in my life. I've been a part of some shit ones. But this is breeding a whole generation of cowards.
Arrest the real criminals!
So that speech that I did 4 weeks ago was about 3,000 people, 3,500 people. My objective was to try to remove the fear that was in the community of people being bashed into submission, and then getting labelled as ridiculous things like anti-vaxxers. Like we've probably all been vaccinated against everything there is, and our kids against everything there is. But it was a deliberate thing where they try to demonise people, right? They want to dehumanise. They want to segregate people. They want you to be that scared that you won't speak up. Shame on you! And I wanted to do whatever I could to try to remove that fear.
Shame on you!
So the week after that.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Didn't that just speak volumes, huh? I'm a big fan of actions being louder than words, and what did that just show you? So the week after that first speech, there was about 25,000, which was very, very encouraging, right? A lot of people started thinking, well, if he can get up and call them arseholes, then maybe I can too and get away with it, right? And so the second one, I went there and I called them arseholes again. And then the third one, there was 130,000, right? And so we've gone from 3,000 to 25 to 130. And of course, I've called them arseholes again, right? Because they are. They are. They're not worthy of our respect. And I'll try to keep the language down because I know there's lots of kids here. And so the fourth week, there was almost 500,000 people had decided that, yep, they're arseholes and I want to say that too, right? No more fear. We're getting rid of the fear. Right? That's why last week I spoke about masculinity not being toxic. Right? And it's not. Right? Masculinity is a beautiful thing. There's just shit behaviour and there's not shit behaviour. And it applies to all people. Toxic behaviour is when you take an absolutely beautiful gathering of normal, everyday, average people and try to say that if you want freedom, that's racist. This is the political leader of the Greens. Right? I'm sick to death of the do as I say or else crowd. Right? And we've all been silent to some degree. We've all been a little bit guilty of getting our head down when these things happen. We put our head down because we don't want to be pointed at and labelled and ridiculed. Right? We're social creatures. We all want to be liked. So it's only natural to avoid that stuff. But at this point, it's destroying our society and it's ripping the very fabric of what it means to be Australian apart. right? And it's time we've got to stop this. We only do it through action.